Okay, here we are, Jeremiah chapter 27. And, I am going to have you look on your little sheets there, because I should have had you look at them last week too. But chapter 27 pretty much concerns King Zedekiah. Okay, down here on your little sheet, this is the big red is the captivity. The starts over here on the right hand side with Nebuchadnezzar's first journey to take Judah, Jerusalem captive. Okay, and this is 605 BC, and this was when he was did that. Jerusalem was the collateral damage when Nebuchadnezzar was going down to Egypt. Okay, so this was in Jehoiakim's reign, and then we had Jehoiachin. Now Jehoiachin was actually deposed by Nebuchadnezzar. They are pretty much under the yoke. Remember, we're talking about yokes and bonds. Okay, Jerusalem and Judah were under the yoke, if you will, of Nebuchadnezzar, and Zedekiah was in there. Zedekiah was a, if you will, a puppet king. Nebuchadnezzar appointed him, picked him out, and appointed him. So he was a puppet king. Okay, but Zedekiah decided to try and fight against Nebuchadnezzar, and he got tried to get some help from all of these kings up here in verse 3 of chapter 27. Remember, we talked about those kings: Edom, Moab, Ammonites, Tyrus, king of Zidon. Okay? And God told Jeremiah to make up some yokes that they would put around oxen's necks, and give those yokes to these kings. He told Zedekiah, give those yokes through messengers to those kings, okay, and with the message. And last week we went through the message, and pretty much boiled down the message to, okay, submit yourselves to King Nebuchadnezzar. Bow down to him, submit yourselves, don't fight, don't rebel, and you will be safe. Okay? Easy. But, then Jeremiah said, if you do fight and don't bow down, okay, it shall come to pass that the nation and kingdom which will not serve the same Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, in verse 8, and that will not put their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, that nation will I punish. Okay? And this is all these nations plus Judah and Jerusalem, saith the Lord, with the sword and with the famine and with the pestilence, until I have consumed them by his hand. Okay? And that's the message. And goes on to don't listen to your false prophets. Don't down here in verse 9, your diviners. Okay, and Jerry asked last week about what a diviner was. It's a person who thinks he sees a vision, and he divines this vision. Oh, this is a holy vision. It's a divine vision. And don't listen to those diviners, because they're wrong. They don't have a clue. Nor your dreamers, your enchanters, your sorcerers, and which speak unto you, saying, ye shall not serve the king of Babylon. Okay? Jeremiah is a one man, telling them the truth, and these other guys, you don't have to serve Babylon. He's not going to bother you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You're not gonna. You don't have to serve Vladimir Putin over there. He's not going to try and conquer you. You know what they were saying to the Ukraine. Yeah, and what's going on with that? For they prophesy a lie unto you. Okay? But the nations that bring their neck under the yoke, in verse 11, under the yoke of king of Babylon, and serve him, those will I let remain still in their own land. Okay? And they will survive. Well, yeah, okay. Verse 12 is where we start this week. I spake also to Zedekiah. Remember, he's given this same message to everyone. So here we got Zedekiah, okay? And you notice at the end of Zedekiah's reign, Jerusalem and the temple are destroyed in 586 BC. Okay. I spake also to Zedekiah, king of, according to all these words, saying, bring your necks under the yoke of the king of Babylon, and serve him and his people. You know, like now, when okay, way back, Moses, when Joseph, was second in line against Pharaoh, and he was going to save his people from the famine that was coming. Okay, and he brought all of Israel, if you will, down to Egypt. Now they were slaves. For the first while, they weren't slaves, but for 400 years, they were slaves until Moses came along. Okay? So, during the Egyptian, if you will, captivity, the 400 years of slavery in Egypt, okay, the people, they did put, if you will, they did put their necks under the yoke of Egypt and served Egypt. And they learned all sorts of stuff. Okay? 400 years, they figured out how to mummify bodies and wrap bodies. And that's how Jesus was wrapped. He was wrapped like a mummy. I mean, and also, yeah. Anyway, and now I lost his name. Anyway, the one that Jesus rose from the dead, lost his name. Lazarus. Okay, he was wrapped like a mummy. He had to pretty much float out of that cave, and Jesus was wrapped that same way. Okay, and that's the thing. When you're talking about, how did Jesus get out of his wrappings? He just floated out of them. He wasn't in his wrappings were just laying there on. Anyway, but they learned all of that. Okay, so they served Egypt. Okay, and now Jeremiah is telling Zedekiah, hey, serve him and you'll live. You may be slaves for 70 years, okay, but you will live. Otherwise, you're going to die. You're going to be slaves. There's going to be 2/3 of the nation at the time will die by the sword, by pestilence, famine. When Nebuchadnezzar moves in to take over Jerusalem the second time, he spends 2 years besieging Jerusalem. Okay, 2 years. And, they were able to hold him off. But remember, there's at least one account in here where at the end of that 2 years, they were, resorting to cannibalism, and it wasn't pretty. Okay? But, hey, bring your necks and under the yoke of king of Babylon and serve him and his people and live. Okay? Why? God says, hey, why will ye die, thou and thy people, by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence? as the Lord hath spoken against the nation that will not serve the king of Babylon. Why do you guys want to die the same way they're going to die? Okay? So, he's asking that question. Why would they want to die? They wouldn't, but hey, they're not listening to anything that God says. Okay? And it's, and I've mentioned this before. Today, okay? You know how difficult it is to witness to somebody, who is standing there shaking their fist at God. You're not the boss of me. There are people that are saying, you're not the boss of me. Okay? God is not the boss of me. Well, think twice about that, guys, when you're saying that. Okay? And hey, that question could be answered, it could be asked of folks that we witness to today. There are folks that receive it, that need it, that know that they need it. Okay? But there are those folks, you're not the boss of me. And that was that one kid in King's Posse. You're not the boss of me. Anyway, therefore, hearken not, and Jeremiah's repeating the same message that he sent to all these people, and I'm sure when he is meeting with Zedekiah, in fact, we kind of find that out here in chapter 28 a little bit. He is wearing that yoke, okay, to illustrate what he's doing. Therefore, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that speak unto you, saying, Ye shall not serve the king of Babylon, for they prophesy a lie unto you. Okay? Saying the same thing that he told the other nations. For I have not sent them. Okay? I'm sending you Jeremiah. I'm sending you Ezekiel. I'm sending you Daniel. And I'm sending you Isaiah, all those other guys. Those guys I've sent to you. Okay? I have not sent them, saith the Lord, yet they prophesy a lie in my name. False prophets out there lying, and they're out there today. There are people out there lying to us today. Oh, you can go to heaven by being a nice guy. Okay? Well, before I heard the gospel message Thursday night back in 1982, okay, I was the good kid in my family. Okay, I was the nice guy. I got along with everybody at school. I was the nice guy. I was the good kid. What do I need God for? I'm a good guy. Yeah, I'm still a good guy. Okay. Well, I'm kind of okay. Depends on who's following me too closely. Driving into town. Anyway, but I found, there are people out there, lying to us. And, hey, you're a nice guy. You're okay. I'm okay. We're all okay. Yeah. And don't listen to them, for I have not sent them. They prophesy lies in my name, that I might drive you out, and that ye might perish, ye and the prophets that prophesy unto you. Of course, it's all, all of this started because of his chosen people disobeying God. His chosen, like I said, his chosen people, the Jews, and his chosen people. You're not the boss of me. I'm going to worship those other idols. So, and they're telling lies. And I spake to the priests. you would think that the priests would at least be the guys that know better, okay? You know, they should be the ones who have studied, you know, the first 5 books of Moses, because that's what they had at the time, who studied all that. They should have been the guys that knew all that. And most of those priests probably should have had all of that, if you will, memorized. No, they would have known God's word. Okay? Spike to the priests and to all this people, saying, "Thus saith the Lord." Same warning, hearken not to the words of your prophets that prophesy unto you, saying, "Behold, the vessels of the Lord's house shall now shortly be brought again from Babylon." Okay? Yeah, this time, let's see, I believe, let's see, if, according to this, okay, when Nebuchadnezzar's army moved in, the temple hadn't been destroyed. Jerusalem was still standing, the temple was still standing, but you know, according to this, you know, the stuff that Nebuchadnezzar's army guys, you know, looted from the temple, all the gold implements, the gold cups and the bronze cups and the menorah, all that stuff, okay, have been looted, and that isn't that what you know, conquering armies do? Isn't that what Nazi Germany did during World War II? They went into all the countries that they conquered and looted all of the art and gold, and the also the Japanese in World War II, they did the same thing. Every nation they conquered, they looted. Any empire, you know, the Romans did the same thing. The Greeks did the same thing. You know, there is, see, from what I kind of understand, there are gold bars in Fort Knox, down there in Kansas, you know, in the repository down there. There are gold bars down there that probably have, you know, some of, you know, all of this gold that has been looted from, you know, conquering nations over the, you know, couple thousand years. You know, there may be a gold bar with, you know, might be just a tiny fraction of gold from the temple, the temple in Jerusalem, that was eventually melted down. You think? It's, you know, it's just, huh? Yeah. Oh, Fort Knox. Oh, Kentucky. Oh, okay. I forget. I never can remember that. I wasn't in the army, so.
You undoubtedly didn't watch Goldfinger with James Bond.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Yeah.
Forget trying to rob it.
They robbed.
Anyway, but yeah, all conquering and guess what? Well, when, you know, after World War II, you know, and Stalin, you know, yeah, was it Stalin? Yeah, he was the last guy. Yeah, and they were, you know, the Soviet Union was formed, conquering all of these countries right after World War II. Do you suppose they looted everything that they could from those nations that they conquered? Okay? And there were probably people saying, oh, you know, just go ahead, give up, get under the yoke of the Soviet Union, just like these guys are saying here. History repeats itself. We don't learn from history, and we don't learn, you know, here. We don't learn from this. We ignore this. You're not the boss of me. Okay? That prophets, and I spake to the priests, and behold, the vessels of the Lord's. You know, they're saying, oh, we're going to get all that stuff back. Yeah, well, yeah, Nebuchadnezzar's grandson, Belshazzar, I keep getting the, get the names mixed up. You get too many, there's a Belteshazzar, there's Belshazzar, there's, anyway, get the names all mixed up there, and it gets worse as you get older here. He brought out those same implements, those same cups and stuff, okay, that were looted back when the temple was destroyed and before, during the reign of Zedekiah. He brought out those for his party, his last party, and the handwriting on the wall, and he was done. And the Babylonian Empire ended just like God says here in the Bible. That empire ended. Of course, the Persians took over, and they did the same stuff. And if again, talking about Esther becoming the wife of the king of Persia, okay, saved the Jewish people from Holocaust. Yeah. So they're all that stuff. No, they're not going to be brought out again until 70 years later. Hearken not unto them. Serve the king of Babylon. Go ahead. Just give up. Surrender, if you will, and survive. There is a little bit of, surrender and survive. And live. Wherefore this city should be laid waste. And it will be. But if they be prophets, hey, if they're true prophets, and if the word of the Lord be with them, well, now, okay, here you're listening to this false prophet. Oh, and the guy we're going to find out about in chapter 28, Hananiah, he was one of those false prophets. Okay. Well, he's telling them, hey guys, you false prophets, if you belong to me, if I have appointed you, let them now make intercession of the Lord of hosts. Okay. Go to God in prayer and make intercession that the vessels which are left in the house of the Lord and in the house of the king of Judah and at Jerusalem go not to Babylon. Hey, if you guys are true prophets, okay, start praying and hey, repent of what your false lies, okay? Repent of that and pray and, earnestly pray. Hey, and we'll find out if you're a true prophet, if what God says will happen. Hey, make intercession and that might not happen. So, okay. Oh, and it's time. We will start with verse 19 next week.